I'm Diane, the Northampton Neighbors Director, and welcome to our third annual membership meeting and our very first on Zoom. This meeting is being recorded and it will be shared with all of our members at a later date. We will not include our membership's faces or voices in that recording for confidentiality. Live captioning, that's hard to say, live captioning is available for this meeting. You may see in the upper left-hand corner of your screen a red live button. Click on that and then a drop-down menu will come. And if you click on view live stream in Otter AI, a new window will open up on your computer and you can read along a live transcript of what we're talking about so you can read along with that. What's going to happen in this meeting is we will have a series of pre-recorded messages, each followed by a live chat. So if at any time during the meeting, you can use the chat function to ask a question or for clarification or make a suggestion. How to do that is, for me on my screen, I see at the bottom of my screen a little like a cartoon bubble and it says chat. If you click on that, those are in the meeting controls of either your computer or your phone. You can then type your message and hit send. And I'll be monitoring the chat so that when we have a live discussion, I'll bring up questions to the board and to Ken, and we can chat through them.
Diane, may I ask a stupid question?
Yeah.
I don't see any send button.
Have you typed anything?
Yeah, I answered Rachel.
Just hit enter on your keyboard.
Oh, and then on yours it's enter, on mine it's send. Okay, thank you. That's good to know. So to minimize the background buzz, we'll all be muted. To talk during the live chats, there's a microphone. For me, again, it's on the bottom left of my screen. That's how you can mute or unmute yourself. If you've called in on a landline, the way you do that on your phone is by hitting *6, and that will unmute you. You will unfortunately not be able to use the live chat or the chat feature, but you can talk during the live chats and we'll hear you. Later in the meeting, we'll break out into smaller groups for like a 10-minute discussion and then rejoin the larger group. All of that should happen automatically. You don't have to do a thing. You'll just be in a group and then you'll be back in the main group. Then we'll present our volunteer award, announce the 4 lucky recipients of treats from local bakeries, and end with a doozy. So stick around.
Hello, and welcome to the third annual meeting of Northampton Neighbors. My name's Ken Dim, and I have the honor, privilege, and pleasure of serving as the president of the board of directors. You know, we began only 4 years ago when a small group of people came together to establish Northampton Neighbors. Its overall goal, to assist people as they age to remain involved and engaged in the community. We began small, maybe 10 to 15 individuals. Today, we have over 900 members. What do? Our trained volunteers provide rides to local stores and doctor's offices. They go to members' houses and perform light household tasks. Members have formed interest groups like a hiking group, a book club, a political discussion group. We also offer social events like Mix and Mingles, annual picnic, and neighborhood circles. And through Nina Kleinberg, we've been offering technology assistance for people, well, like me, who can barely figure out how to change the TV channel, no less navigate the internet. In addition, a few months ago, we entered into a partnership with Cooley Dickinson to form the Pioneer Valley Memory Care Initiative, a program designed to assist individuals with dementia and their caregivers. And finally, let me not forget the very popular speaker series in which local people present on a wide variety of topics. All this is terrific, but I also need to emphasize there's one aspect of our organization that I'm especially proud of. Unlike 95% of the other villages in the state and nation, we do not charge any fees for services. The founding members wanted to make sure that Northampton Neighbors is truly inclusive, that anyone, regardless of income, can join and participate. This leads me to another thing about Northampton Neighbors that I'm very proud of, the number of people and businesses who make a donation each year. Why is this important? Well, as I said, we don't charge any fees, but we still have expenses. So please continue to give or begin to give as generously as you can afford. Naturally, I cannot end this brief introduction without mentioning COVID. No getting around it. This has been a rough year. Like many businesses and organizations, Northampton Neighbors has been severely affected. In accord with good public health safety measures, we have temporarily stopped all face-to-face services and contacts. We know this has been difficult and limits what we can do. Moreover, the prediction for the winter is pretty dismal. Nevertheless, the membership remains enthusiastic and people are eager to get back to normal, to be able to actually take walks with each other, to attend live social events, and to offer volunteer services. And the news about the vaccines seem positive. So I am sure we will emerge stronger and more committed than ever. Now, as they say, let's get on with the show. We will briefly hear from our various committees and then proceed to our breakout groups where we will discuss where we go from here.
Hi, I'm Marcia Holden, and my involvement is focused primarily in two areas, communications and community relations. I want you to know from the outset that we're hoping to involve more members in both of these areas. New energy and vibrant ideas are really important to the healthy growth of any organization. So if after you hear me, your interest is piqued in any of these areas, please be in touch with me. The Communications Committee is responsible for our bi-monthly newsletters, our monthly column in the Con Street Chronicle, and our annual report, this year called A Year in Review. In addition, we work very closely with the Speakers Committee on its program descriptions and on any publicity related to events such as this meeting and also NN Live. Anything that goes out, either digitally or in print, passes under the eyes of the Communications Committee. So if you're someone who enjoys writing, editing, or if you have any ideas of how we can expand what we're doing or do what we're doing even better, please consider joining the communications team. Community relations is broadly about making sure our good work is known and building relationships with individuals, businesses, and organizations that can inspire and help us to serve our community even better. To that end, we've so far been involved with the Cooley Dickinson Hospital, Hampshire YMCA, Forbes Library, the Chamber of Commerce, the Downtown Northampton Association, the Gazette, and Northampton Open Media. This is a wide open area to explore. Your ideas and willingness to pursue them would be very welcome.
Hello, I'm Gerard Paquin. I'm the treasurer of Northampton Neighbors. So I keep the books, I pay the bills, and I generally keep track of money coming in and going out. I want to put on the screen a summary of our 2020 to 2021 budget. I really don't want to make you go to sleep with too many details. However, you are the donors who make it all happen. And I thought you might want to at least know briefly where the money comes from and where it goes. The first pie chart is a summary of our projected income from this past July through this coming June. If you look at the blue section, you'll see that $40,000 is projected to come from member donations. We also show income of $7,000 in donations from non-members, $6,000 from businesses, and $10,000 from grants. And I will say that the board members and the development committee worked very hard in securing all these donations. It's not easy. Our expenses are summarized in the second pie chart. Northampton Neighbors is run as a very lean organization. Our biggest expense is to pay our indispensable administrator, Diane Porcella. She is the heart of all of our operations. Beyond that, we are bare bones. We have no office rent, as we have free space provided by the Visiting Nurses Association. We do have to pay for our insurance, our website, software to run operations, for printing, postage, and other expenses to run programs. Also, yes, for fundraising. I did some analysis as to our actual income sources for the past 12 months and found that 26% of our members had donated. That's not so bad. However, I would like to see that percentage go up a bit. The issue I see is that a disproportionate dollar amount of donations is coming from about 10 members, 9 of whom donated over $1,000 this past year, and 1 angel donor who donated well over $10,000. The problem with depending on a few large donors is that we can never be sure if we will be able to count on them for continuing support. Our income stream would be much more secure if we had a broader base among our membership. For example, if only half of our members pledged an average of just $10 a month, that would give us over $55,000 a year in income from that source alone. And an average pledge of $20 a month from just half of our members would double that and would allow our board members to be free from spending the many hours they devote to fundraising and chasing grant money. By the way, there's a special provision in tax law this year as to the deductibility of donations to charities. Even if you do not itemize in your tax return, you can deduct up to $300 in charitable donations from the income you pay tax on. So if you haven't donated recently or want to donate a little more, please do so. You have until December 31st to do that. If you have any questions about our finances, you can send me an email and we can set up a phone conversation. My email address is on the Contact Us page of our website. Thanks for listening. On with our program.
I'm Catherine Baker, and I'm chair of Northampton Neighbors Development Committee. The main work of this committee is, of course, fundraising for our wonderful organization that's free to anyone who wants to become a member. Fundraising means asking members and friends of Northampton Neighbors to donate to us so that we can cover the expenses that Gerard has described to you. But fundraising isn't really hard because we're asking people and businesses to give to such a good cause. We believe in Northampton Neighbors and its mission, and we're sure that the gifts that people give to us are going to be well spent. The very best gifts that we receive come from sustainers because we can count on those gifts over the long term. Sustainers are donors who commit to making a large or a small gift once a month or even once a year. Knowing of their commitment, Northampton Neighbors can make long-term plans based on those gifts. They give us financial resources, but more importantly, they give us stability, which is vital for our planning. So I hope that you might consider becoming a sustainer at whatever level works for you. The Development Committee also applies for grants for special projects and programs, but sustaining gifts are really what matters most to us, are most important to us.
Hi, I'm Pat Goggins from Goggins Real Estate. And I was thinking recently about the first time I met Catherine Baker and how impressed I was with the seriousness of purpose that she displayed with respect to this idea that she had, a new concept for our community called Northampton Neighbors. And I quickly responded to that in a way that she was hoping for, I think, in terms of my financial support. And I would certainly encourage others to consider becoming a sustaining member of this wonderful organization. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Joan Axelrod Contrada, and I'm a sustaining donor because it's so darn easy. Given the choice between paying $120 a year or $10 a month, the smaller chunks win hands down. I've never had a month when I missed the $10 from my checking account, but I've had many months in which $120 on top of my regular expenses would seem like a deal breaker. Being a sustaining donor makes me feel like I've organized my charitable giving. I think of it like a stovetop with 2 burners on the front and 2 on the back. My sustaining donor contributions are bubbling away on the back burners while I use the front burners for household expenses and donations to seasonal events like the Pan Mass Challenge in the summer and the hot chocolate run in the winter. This system is a win-win because I get great services like the WISE team leadership leaf raking that far exceeds $120 a year while Northampton Neighbors gets a steady income stream. Kudos to Northampton Neighbors for all the great work that you do.
Thank you, Marcia and Gerard and Catherine, Pat and Joan, for those brief words. And obviously, we've put our pitch into you regarding money, etc. But before we proceed to the next part of the program, I'm wondering if there are any questions or comments that anyone has, anything that people want to say. And in order to do that, Diane, what do? They raise their hand, they unmute?
What we actually asked is if people could write it in the chat, kind of helps to keep it a little more.
Okay. Yeah.
And I don't see any chats there, but what I could do right now, I think we're a relatively small group. We could put it open that Nina, are we, if people want to unmute and ask a question, is that a possibility?
All they have to do is unmute and I will see them in the participant list and they can ask their question.
And if we don't see one, then we'll just go on to the next segment. How's that? Or hear one. We'll go on to the next segment. Does that sound okay? Okay.
So if anyone has any questions about what we've said, specifically, obviously, most of the focus was on the money and the notion of sustaining donors. Ask away or comment away.
Looks okay.
Okay.
Well, you did such a good job.
Mm.
There's a person who's new to Northampton Neighbors and asked the question what the funds are used for.
Gerard, you want to do that? You want me to do it?
You can go ahead if you want. I mean,
well, I think as Gerard said, the bulk, I forget the exact percentage, what, 60, 70% of the funds are used for, we have one staff member, that's Diane, and the vast majority of the funds are used for her salary, for paying her. And then we have other expenses. We are, as a member of the Village to Village Network, which is a national organization, we pay them. We have computer costs. We have mailing costs. We have some printing costs. What am I leaving out?
Insurance.
Insurance. So, you know, the fairly standard administrative kinds of expenses. But as I said, I don't know the exact percentage, but it's pretty low. And as Gerard said, we are pretty lean. I mean, we don't. Luckily, we get free rent and for space, and so we're not paying for that. So it's really the bulk is Diane's salary. And we are, you know, just lucky to have Diane because, believe me, whatever her salary is, she earns more. She should be earning more than what she's getting. She's been terrific.
Thank you. Okay, I think you could probably move on. What do you think, Nina? Are you ready?
I'm ready to move on.
Okay.
Hi, Mike Maher from the Events Committee. During the pandemic, we decided to have a remote talent show. Your talented neighbors stepped up, put a smile on people's faces, and had a bit of fun in the process. So if you haven't seen it, I think it's worth a look. It's in two places, the Northampton Neighbors YouTube channel and the Northampton Live page. Now going forward, we're kind of looking at a blank page here again, but we got a couple ideas. We could use your help in two ways. One is if you have any ideas or suggestions about remote events that we could do that people would enjoy, that'd be great. Pass those thoughts and suggestions on to Diane. And two is we'll do another remote talent show. And your chance sort of to put a smile on people's faces and become a Northampton Neighbors star. So if you have any interest in it, pass your name on to Diane. And after the holidays, we'll get together and start thinking about scheduling it. So give it a thought and we'll look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Naomi Gerstel and want to introduce our speaker series run by Sarah Backrack, Linda Desmond, Sarah Lennox, Mark Carpel, Zane Copter, and me. Together, we select and work with all Northampton Neighbors speakers. We began in 2018 with live monthly talks co-sponsored with the Senior Center, but with the spread of COVID, we switched to Zoom and increased our talks to twice a month, every other Friday from 3 to 4, because we felt this was the way to maintain our community, educate ourselves, and overcome the isolation that so many of us were and are contending with. The Zoom speaker series has included an eclectic and entertaining mix of well-known authors talking about their books, an athlete talking about the law and celebrity, photographers and visionaries wowing us with beautiful images, an economist and hospital administrator teaching us about the medical and financial fallout from COVID, and those who specialize in the care and health of older people teaching us about how to care for others and ourselves. Recordings of all of these were posted by Nina Kleinberg on the Northampton Neighbors website. Join us in January as we continue with our free, educational, and diverting talks.
Hi, I'm Maureen Flannery, volunteer Northampton Neighbors Interest Group Coordinator. Northampton Neighbors has lots of interesting members, and joining or starting an interest group is a great way to get to know them. Of the 7 current interest groups, most have found ways to meet during the pandemic. The Food Interest Group, or FIG, actually started virtually, and members look forward to the day when they can meet and eat together. Most of the groups are open to new members. One example of an interest group that has continued and flourished during the past 10 months is the Gardeners Group. Rather than meeting in members' gardens and homes, the group has Zoomed monthly since March to share information and answer each other's questions about gardens and houseplants. In September, the group toured 2 members' gardens with mask and physical distancing, and the annual plant exchange happened with labeled plants spaced out along a driveway for members to peruse and choose. Just check the interest group page under the Social Time tab on the Northampton Neighbors website for more information.
Hi, I'm Sarah Lennox. I'm chair of the Neighborhood Circles Committee, and I'd like to tell you what's happening with neighborhood circles during this strange time of COVID. As many of you know, Northampton Neighbors established its first neighborhood circle in fall 2018 with the intention of helping our members who live closest to each other get to know each other so they could help each other in times of need, overcome isolation, and create community in their own neighborhoods. But once the pandemic made that impossible, we regrouped a little. We decided we'd meet on Zoom instead, and we tried to have a more structured program focused on local issues to overcome people's Zoom fatigue and make them want to connect virtually. There have been really, really interesting presentations at all of them. City councilors have spoken at most of them, telling us about the most urgent issues in the city and asking our advice for what they should do about them. Pam Powers, the Registrar of Voters, talked about plans for mail-in voting, and Wayne Fiden, the City Director of Development and Sustainability, told us about plans to revitalize downtown. The Round Hill Circle hosted a really popular talk on Bears of Northampton and another one on Women of Round Hill. And at the Ward 4 Circle, John Stinton talked about Mill River and Ward 4. The Village Hill Circle had a socially distanced jazz concert, and the Mill River community has featured neighborhood musicians, poets, and photographers. Before the election, one member of the Round Hill Circle talked about the Ranked Choice Ballot Initiative and another on the Right to Repair Initiative, and the list goes on and on. So if you aren't yet a member of your own neighborhood circle, you're missing a lot, and we urge you to sign into the Zoom meeting the next time you get an invitation. And we're really happy that even in COVID times, neighborhood circles are still furthering Northampton Neighbors' aim of creating connection and community in our little city. Thank you.
Thanks to people who presented, Mike and Naomi, Maureen, and Sarah. And again, just to open it up, if there are people who have some comments or questions, or maybe some specific questions about the various interest groups or the neighborhood circles or the speaker series, please feel free to jump in. I can't see any jumps.
How do you start an interest group?
Are you asking that in general, Rainey, or to any specific person?
No, I'm just asking it in general. If I wanted to start a group, how would I go about it?
Good question.
Maureen, would you like to take that one?
Sure. As the coordinator for the interest group, you would send an email message to Northampton Neighbors, and it would get to me, and we would figure out how to get it going. They're entirely member-led and member-driven. So if there's interest in a particular topic, we'd probably send something out to the entire listserv asking for folks that are interested, and then go from there. There's several ideas that have come up recently. There's an ongoing book group that is full but very successful. So we've thought about another book group. There's been a bicycling group in the past. There's been a movie group in the past that could now work with streaming. All sorts of ideas. So it's just a matter of contacting Northampton Neighbors, and then we'll take it from there.
Anyone else?
I wanted to ask Mike if he thought that there were openings in the events committee. Do we need more people? Yo, Mike.
Wake up.
Got him.
I was muted.
Oh, okay.
God, I hate technology. But anyway, yeah, we can always use help. There's plenty of room for people.
Good.
I think that's often true with the committees, but if you have questions, you can call, you can find out from Diane who the chairperson is and call them and find out if there are openings.
Yeah, and this may not be the best setting or best type of venue for people to feel comfortable asking questions, or you might think of something later and have the question. You know, obviously you can always contact any one of us, but Diane's probably the easiest one to contact in terms of questions or suggestions, or gee, maybe the events committee should do this, or maybe an interest group should look at that, or whatever it is. And we really are very, very interested in hearing and getting more input and getting your reactions to things.
Yeah, just an illustration of that was the talent show. The events committee hadn't had the brains to think up that idea until we got a new member, Janet, who came and said, what about doing a talent show? And we all went, hey, that's a good idea. So it can really help.
It's almost a necessity.
Yes.
Okay. You want to move on, Diane? Whoops.
Seems good. I don't see anything in the chat, so I think we can roll.
Hi, I'm Kathy Service, and I am the newest board member to the Northampton Neighbors Committee. One of my roles on being on the board is that of a liaison, the board liaison to the volunteer committee, which is ably chaired by Linda Desmond. So you can imagine the quarantine has really halted almost all of our volunteer activities. We did continue with some activities, either by mail, for instance, with our Pen Pal program, or by telephone with our Hello Neighbors regular checkup calls, and our newest program, which is in collaboration with the Cooley Dickinson Hospital Geriatrics Clinic. And this program is called the Pioneer Valley Memory Care Initiative. And this program was initially going to be with Northampton Neighbors trained and supported volunteers going into people's homes and doing social activities with them. As COVID-19 has evolved and with the vaccine soon to be available, we have regrouped. And this is the time that we're using to kind of redetermine how we're going to roll things out. So we are looking for more volunteers for all of our programs, of course, but particularly with this memory care initiative, which is really unique in comparison. But Linda Desmond and I are really determined that our volunteers will be supported in their activities and encourage members to consider this exciting and meaningful experience. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Diane, the Northampton Neighbors Director. We offered our first service back in 2017, and since then, about half of our members have got or offered a service, and an untold number have participated in social programs like neighborhood circles, interest groups, and the speaker series. COVID has highlighted the importance of connection. That we have missed meeting our neighbors down the hall or across the street, picking out our own groceries or browsing for books is clear. That we've helped each other to meet this challenge is inspiring. We must continue to wear a mask, wash our hands, and physically distance, but we also need to maintain and enhance meaningful connection. Last March, we checked in with every member of Northampton Neighbors by phone. A dedicated group of volunteers and neighbors continue to check in. The Hello Neighbor program is working. It's making a difference. Would you like to get a call or help us make some? Please give us a call at 413-341-0160. Take care. Bye.
Thanks again, Kathy, Diane, for speaking about that. Just to everything Diane said, of course, is absolutely true in terms of the isolation and the difficulties. And I think what, just to emphasize what Kathy was saying about the new program, the Pioneer Valley Memory Care Initiative, it really is exciting, and it's just getting off the ground now. But the notion of that we could be able to provide kind of community-based services for the individual who has dementia, but also and critically for the person who is the so-called caregiver, the person who is living with that person with dementia, who is it's a rough time. It takes a lot of work, and so if people are interested in becoming volunteers or in learning more about the program, please contact us. I assume Kathy, they can contact you directly or Diane about that. Any, as I asked before, any questions, any comments on what we just heard? I think, Diane, I see someone down there.
Yeah, we do. We actually have a question from one of our volunteers, members, and interest group leaders. She's a star among us. And she's asking, what happens, does NN have any plans for after the vaccine is widely available, say down the line in a few months, and how we might change when that has happened?
It's hard to say exactly what we're going to be doing at each, at a certain month period, but I think we're going to be going ahead of what the public health people are advising us and planning things accordingly. It'll probably be a gradual rollout in terms of, what programs we're doing during the time period. My understanding is that mask making will continue for quite a while, maybe after the vaccine is available. So depending on who in the community, at what point people get the vaccine. So I think it's a work in progress, and we're taking our advice by the experts and people who know.
And if I could just jump in for a second, I think that will be the focus for the breakout groups, the discussion during the breakout groups in terms of, okay, so now that we presumably are on the moving beyond the pandemic, although the timeline is obviously not clear. What do we do? How do we do that? What kind of services should we be providing, et cetera? So that will be the focus of the discussion.
Yeah, I think it's worth people knowing that both on the support committee and on the board, we've really agonized about this, especially when the numbers were coming down. It's very hard for us not to be able to offer contact services, because that's what got us all involved in this in the first place. And every time we've brought the question up, we've looked at the data and checked other villages, and it continues to seem as though it is too dangerous to our members and to our volunteers to do contact services. So as you can see, up some of the non-contact, but hopefully, as Kathy said, in following the best advice, we get to doing what we did before.
And it really, for us, those of us who are volunteering in the memory care initiative, it can be really challenging when you're working to support people in social activities, people and their caregivers who have dementia, either doing it virtually or, in my case, I have a telephone call every weekly or so with the person that I'm working with, or not working. I hate to say working with, but I'm just sharing some time with. So I think it is a hard thing, and I'm not in. We do what we can do, but the caring is still there.
So Ken, I don't see another question in the chat. I don't know if anybody, if anything's occurred to anyone during this conversation that you just want to speak up about, or if we should move on. What do you think?
The comments or questions, moving on. We will be moving on. And Rainey.
Hi, my name is Rainey Millman, and I'm a founding member of the Board of Directors of Northampton Neighbors. Since the beginning of the organization, I have served on the support committee with about 10 to 15 different people. Our function has been for us to go out and meet new members, tell them about Northampton Neighbors, and help them figure out what we can do for them, what might be fun for them to do, what services we might provide for them. So we've been doing that for over 2 years now, or is it 3? I'm not sure. Anyway, and we were really enjoying that. The 10 or 15 of us who do it are all people who are trained to interview people. And it was a lot of fun. We also welcomed all kinds of volunteers to come to our meetings and talk about any issues they were having or how we could support them. This all came to a screeching halt last March, and we had to figure out how to redesign ourselves. At first we thought, well, let's see if we can study how to reopen services. So monthly we would talk about that. We would talk about what other villages were doing, how we could set up protocols that would keep people safe. We finally came to the terrible conclusion that there was no way to be safe, and that the only way to do it was to offer virtual services instead, and to also plug people into services in the community that already exist. For example, the taxi out of the senior center. So we also realized that we didn't really know how you, the members, were doing. We began by thinking, well, how could we find out? And came up with the idea of doing a survey, which many of you participated in that. Thank you. We are going to share what we did learn tonight and hopefully get your ideas, because really without you, the ideas of Northampton Neighbors wouldn't work. So we welcome your conversations, your input, and we also welcome you to any support committee meeting that you would like to come to. We meet every month on Tuesdays, the second Tuesday of the month from 5 to 6:15, and you can email Diane and she'll give you the Zoom address. Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.
I'm Julie Abramson. Hello. I'm reporting on the survey to 733, I think, Northampton Neighbor members. And the good news is that our members are doing very well during the pandemic. They seem to be able to meet their needs successfully. Whether it's getting errands done or doctor appointments or groceries, they have means to do it. And they also are checking in daily. About a little less than half of them are checking in daily with someone, and the rest are not. And they express, and the number of people expressed the fact that that would make them feel sick and old to do that. This very positive outcome may partly be in relation to the fact that of the members who responded, most were in their 60s and 70s. So they were not, at least age-wise, the frail elders. We were very happy to have such a good response from our members. There were 233 respondents out of the 700, which, believe it or not, is quite a good survey response. And also that our members were doing so well during this unusual crisis. And thank you to all of them who responded.
So thank you, Julie, for presenting, and Rainey as well. So we are now going to go into the next part of the program and the breakout groups. And obviously we realize having a meeting on Zoom can be difficult. I mean, there's not a lot of interaction. And so this is our attempt to try to create a little bit more interaction, a little bit, get a venue or a format for people's input. During the breakout groups, we'll go for about 5 to 10 minutes speaking about the results of the survey that Julie just mentioned, and primarily to discuss, so that was how people reacted and responded to the survey, but where do we go from here? How does Northampton Neighbors move forward and get back into providing services, what types of services, for whom, etc. So with that, Nina, I'm not sure how you're going to do this, but I assume you'll just take over.
Actually, Diane will perform the magic.
So Nina, I think people are going to their breakout rooms.
In my group, actually, Naomi and Catherine were also there. So one of the points made was that the use of the continued use of Zoom, that once we get out of this pandemic, that that Zoom has proven to be such a valuable tool that the person suggested that we continue to use it, obviously for those people who have a more difficult time getting out. And that, I think, is something that we certainly will consider. I think that was the primary point. There was another question was raised about the homeless population. And if I could just kind of expand on that for 2 seconds. I mean, so we don't do that. We haven't really worked with the homeless. But it raises the whole question of, so does Northampton Neighbors get involved in social issues that are not just specific to ourselves? I mean, so we've had programs in which we've worked with low income. Are there programs that we could work with homeless or with kids or with people? It was raised about English as a second language. Are there some ways that Northampton could Neighbors could get involved in these community-based programs, working with other groups? And I think that's something that we need to consider. Mm-hmm. I don't know, Naomi, Catherine, did I miss something, or you want to add to what I just said?
I think that covered
you did a great job.
Good job.
I'm trying so hard.
It's working. So maybe we should go to another breakout room.
Right.
Marcia?
Yep, I think it's Marcia next.
Okay, all right. So I found it really interesting. There's a lot that we're doing that's working well. The neighborhood circles have really been terrific. The fact that we record everything is very helpful because not everybody can attend at the time a program is going on. So that's really appreciated. Also, just the fact that there's someone in our group who's new, who's moved here during COVID, and it's pretty isolating, but through our conversation found out how she can find information about interest groups and also neighborhood circles. So there's a lot that's working really well. There's just like a little bit of a warning, you know, that we are going into darker times, and although the survey was positive, that people really seem to be in pretty good shape, we shouldn't not pay attention now to what's going on with people. And I think that we're well positioned to do that, because we're going to start once again calling all of our members to see how they are. So I think that's also a really positive thing that we're doing. But from my point of view, Jeff, it was a wonderful personal experience, because I met people I had never met before, and people who appreciate what's going on and want to get involved. And that was really exciting. So I don't, Mark.
Yeah, I think you covered almost everything. The only thing I would add is someone mentioned that, frankly, even after COVID, they'd be more likely to attend meetings and talks by Zoom than driving there.
Yeah.
We'll have to take into consideration.
Who's next?
I think it might be Rainey.
Oh, I'm group 4.
We're going by, you, okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, if you can, that'd be great.
Unfortunately, we ran out of time, so we didn't really get a lot done, except we got to meet each other, which was nice. And we talked about that idea of the darkness that is facing us in the coming months. And one of the points I made was that actually my work for Northampton Neighbors is the best antidote I have for that, is that it keeps me on my toes. I talk to people on the phone, you know, and we have meetings all the time, and it's wonderful, because you really feel like you're doing something. One of the points that was made is that maybe we can begin to figure out how to make more interest groups, because the ones that we have really taken off. The other day I was talking to somebody who really was interested in a book group, and I see that Rachel's is full, so maybe we could start another one. That would be terrific. But that's about it. It was very similar in reaction to Marcia and Ken's groups.
Excellent.
I think 2 things came up. One was that there were some newer members in this group, and they needed phone calls from the Hello Neighbor program. So I think this is right. I think, Diane, we're going to be calling everybody again in January.
In the new year.
Yeah.
Right.
And Diane, one of the persons, I'll just give you her name just to make sure that really wants to make sure. I mean, you're calling everybody, but just make a special shout out.
Yeah. Sure. That's great. Thank you.
And somebody else said he was newly retired and he really needed more things to do. So we had a chance to tell him that we had so many things for him to do. But
yes,
that is such a dangerous thing.
We
to
do have
it's
so
a
many things.
slippery slope, newly retired person. Right. So I think at that point, does everybody feel like they got enough? We're able to share enough about your breakout sessions at this point? And if so, maybe we can move on to spotlighting Ken for the next segment. What do you think?
No, not Mark. Ken.
Get out of here, Mark.
That's Ken, they all look alike.
I know, really, no kidding. You know, and obviously some the points that were made in those breakout sessions are ongoing discussions. So, but with the volunteers, so this is a terrific part of the program, the Volunteer of the Year Award. And you know, for Northampton Neighbors to have a Volunteer of the Year Award is it's difficult, because we're all volunteers. I mean, all just virtually everybody. Diane's the only not, but Diane puts in so much time. She's a volunteer in any case. So it's really difficult, if not impossible, to say, okay, one person is the volunteer, you know, gets the award. But you know, in this time of COVID, where we're so isolated, and we've relied so much on the internet and on Zoom, that it really has allowed us to maintain some semblance of normalcy. The fact that we can get together, these kind of meeting, the talent show, the neighborhood circles, etc., has really been extremely helpful. And so the person who has made all that possible for us is Nina. And so, Nina, I want to, you know, personally thank you, and thank you for all of Northampton Neighbors for the incredible amount of work you've done. You know, you helped. I have it that you've over 100 requests for assistance, and that you've done obviously this meeting and all the other meetings that we've discussed, that we've mentioned in the past, the neighborhood circles, the talent show, etc. So it's really wonderful, and you know, thank you very, very much. And we also have now I have to put on my glasses, a City of Northampton. We have a certificate of recognition awarded to you, signed by the mayor, using your technical and social skills to keep elders, I'm not sure who they're talking about when they say elders, but okay. To keep elders connected during the COVID-19 pandemic and lessen social isolation with your mantra of patience, reassurance, and encouragement. So Nina, really, truly, thank you for your hard work, for the numerous hours you've put in, and for putting up with and being patient with
Really
people, frankly, like myself, who are technologically challenged, shall we say. And but anyway, thank you so much, and much appreciated.
Oh, it's been a pleasure, and I get as much out of it as I give. It's a real pleasure. Thank you.
Terrific. That's terrific.
No.
Okay, so and I think then, Diane, we're moving on to
Marcia.
Yeah. All right. Okay, now for some added sweetness to this event. Our sincere thanks to our Northampton and Florence bakers, Rebecca from Woodstar, Annie from Tart, Maura from the Pie Bar, and Star from Cafe Evolution. So my understanding is that Diane is going to spin her magic and come up with 4 people who have been in attendance who are going to get something wonderful from these bakeries. And I'm waiting to see their names in the chat. It was wonderful going to all of these bakeries because they knew exactly the organization, and they were very enthusiastic about being a part of this evening and offering you a sweet. So because we're in all of, we're all in this together, what I'd like to say to everybody here is to consider supporting those who support us. So if in fact you go to any of these bakeries to buy something, would you please, thank them and let them know that you're a Northampton neighbor. I think that can only help to make our relationship with them even stronger. So I would just want to say a general thanks to everybody who joined in today. It means a lot, but don't leave yet because we're not quite finished, and I don't think you're going to want to miss what's coming next. An idea that really is outrageously fun, and an idea that we hope will be realized in 2021. So enjoy.
Hi, my name is Mark Carpel. I'm on the board of Northampton Neighbors. I'm also on the support and speakers committee. And I want to tell you about a fundraising idea a group of us were working on over the winter before COVID hit. We were planning an event that we hoped would accomplish several things. Raise a lot of money for Northampton Neighbors, provide a fun way to introduce ourselves to businesses, for future fundraising and visibility, increase awareness of Northampton neighbors, build community, create delight, and connect the generations. And we were inspired in part by the Hot Chocolate Run, which last year raised over $600,000, and Monty's March, which last year raised over $337,000. So we wanted an event that would combine business sponsors and peer-to-peer fundraising, which is the kind of thing where, let's say you run a 5K marathon and your family, and you collect money from your family and friends. They make contributions because they like the cause. That's how the Hot Chocolate Run and Monty's March works. And that was one inspiration for us. The other came from Pasadena's Doodah Parade, which started in 1978 and is still going. It was kind of a goofy, fun response to the Rose Bowl Parade in Pasadena. So some crews you might have seen, or teams you might have seen there, were the Lawnmower Drill Team, the Precision Briefcase Marching Drill Team. These are all investment bankers. The Barbecue and Hibachi Marching Grill Team, and also the Movable Feast. This whole table and all the diners moves down the road on wheels. Here you see some spectators enjoying the event. Doodah parades have spread to a number of other cities. Here you have LIZA WOLFE, the Doodah Queen from Kalamazoo, Michigan. This is a perfect model of a senior superhero, I think, and she's happily given us permission to use the photograph. There's also the Basset Hound Waddle from Ocean City, New Jersey. So we still hope after COVID to launch the Doozy Doo Parade for Northampton neighbors. Possible crews, pretty much anything. There's a place for everyone. You could have lawyers all wearing bow ties, therapists with a box of Kleenex and clipboards, Northampton neighbors members in t-shirts, dog lovers, community gardeners, kids under 12, crew rowers. You could also have pirates, superheroes, mermaids, Harry Potter characters. Already in the works are the Glad Hatters, people who will be wearing silly hats. Quote, geriatric jump ropers. They're not really geriatric, they're all in their 30s. And a bunch of guys who look like me for the Lost Sons of Don Quixote. Literally anything that's kid-friendly and nonpartisan. We had a date set with the city, and we own the website, doozydoo.org. And we actually had a lot of work underway. The parade will include Gertrude the Gargoyle, if any of you remember, who used to sit up on top of the Words and Pictures Museum. And Bill Dwight agreed to be our marshal, grand marshal for the parade. We hope he will, if it can happen after COVID. So when it's safe to gather again, keep your eyes out for information about the Doozy Doo Parade for Northampton neighbors. Contact Northampton neighbors if you have any questions, or if you want to start a crew, or even if you just have a fun idea for a crew, even if you don't want to be in it. We need a bunch of those fun ideas, which could be Northampton themed or not. We think we can all have a lot of fun, bring a great new event to the city, and hopefully raise a lot of money to keep Northampton neighbors running. Thanks for listening.
Diane, thank you for your work on this as well.
Diane is the rock and the anchor of this organization.
Sure.
All right. Well, I think, do any of the board or any of the members here have anything else to add before we sign off on a gloomy Sunday night? Then brighter days ahead, it would seem.
Brighter days are ahead, right?
Yeah. All right, folks.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
we'll end the meeting now. Good night.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Good night.